Astrology is the story of a cycle, a, a story, right? It is a story of a cycle, a format in which we organize the world, much like a theory of psychology, right? It's a bunch of information that we draw little diagrams around. And we say this equals this equals this, and this works with this. And if it fits the data, we say, okay, this is our best theory of it. This is our best story of how it works. So this story has been around since as long as story's been around. This was the first story. It was based on the seasons. It was based on cycles of life and time. So we still tell this story. We don't know we're telling the story. We call it the hero's journey today. We still tell movies about this story. So I'm going to try to break down the basics of astrology with the movie Die Hard. So the original story, the first house starts with Aries. So like, the hero with the Neo type character, right? You can be anything, just the drive, the warrior going forward into the darkness, right? So you shift this throughout the year and you're going to get different variations, different archetypes of your heroes. So they'll have all 12 houses. They'll all have 3 acts. They'll all have the entire circle of life and story within them. They are not one aspect. But at the moment of their birth, it's set their rising sign. It's set the place at the eastern horizon they were born. And it set the first page of their story. It set the starting point of their story at a certain degree, at a certain angle to everything else in the sky. And it defined their chart. So in Die Hard, the movie Die Hard, it came out in Cancer season. So Cancer it represents the 4th house. It's the crab. It's the mother warrior. It represents the moon, your emotional center, your desire to fight for law and justice and, leaving a legacy behind, like past your existence, right? When you go away, you'll know that the love you put down, the foundations you put down, the emotions you put into life will outlast you. Just your drive and your emotions, of your heart, will outlast you. If you had a big heart and you put nothing but emotion and love into people, that will outlast you. So like, the foundations, you provide a foundation for your family out of love, and you die and they inherit that foundation, that will outlast you. So John McClane had to fight for his family during the movie. He had to fight for his foundation during the movie, his sense of home during the movie. Yeah, he had to go to the office and, protect that home, to protect his wife. And, he had to, but it was all symbolic of his journey, of his hero story. So it's broken down into 3 acts, just broken down into 3 parts based on, a triangle, equilateral triangle, right? All equal on all sides. Now, they don't have to be time-wise equal on all sides if you're telling a story, just because, some houses just are not going to devote that much. You'll be able to project them through other parts of the story. So everything is symmetrical, right? it all works in 3s. So if you have, this is the hero in the first house, right? When you get to the start of the second act, you got to show why that hero was meant to be where he is. Like destiny itself chose the hero to be where he is. And then the start of the third act is the hero's fall, right? The hero's got to believe it himself. The hero's got to face that moment of doubt. Where the hero's, the hero was, that Cancer rising, right? The John McClane was that hero that had to fight for the foundation of his house. And the terrorists took over in the start of the second act. The terrorists took over that took over that house, and the very start of the second act. And suddenly him being a cop and not really having the tools to win back his wife, and not having the tools to get what needs to be done, suddenly he has the opportunity to fight for his wife. Suddenly he has the opportunity to protect his home. Suddenly he has the opportunity to do what he came to do, because all he brought with him was his gun. Well, if all you're going to bring to winning your wife back is a gun and a teddy bear, well, the best thing that can happen to you, especially if you forget the teddy bear and the limo, the best thing that can happen to you is the terrorist can take over the building that you're in, and your gun comes in handy. So like the universe said, like, hey, congratulations, John McClane. Like you're gonna, you don't have to bring anything to the table. Everything you needed to bring to the table, your fifth house, the universe is going to say, okay, that's who you are. You don't need to refine that. You don't need to define that. That is just who you are. Congratulations. But do you believe it yourself? That's the ninth house. Do you believe it yourself? That is your moment of doubt. That is your fall from grace. That is, you get glass all throughout the bottom of your feet. Oh, my feet are all cut up. What do I do about it? Oh. Am I the cop? Am I the person that's willing to fight? Am I the mother warrior? Do I believe it myself? And he pulls that glass out of his feet. He pulls that glass out of his feet, and he marches into the 10th house. He marches to the climax of the story. He saves all the hostages on the top of the building. There was the big explosion, the climax of the story. Yeah, he still had to save his wife. He still had to kill the bad guy. He still had to do all the things. But that was he saved the most people. They spent the most money. He worked his way to the literal top of the building. So that was the fire signs, right? Like, so the Cancer rising. He is the crab. I want to fight for my family. And the terrorists take over in the fifth house, and he goes, wow, I get to fight for my family now. And the terrorists break him and still back the detonators, and they they leave him all cut up and broken, and he's a moment of doubt and pain, right? And he goes, tell my wife if I don't make it that I love her and I'm sorry, right? Because this is not about me, right? This is like there's more to this life than me. I do it for them. I fight for them. I don't fight for myself. And I am what I am. So I believe in me, and I'm going to walk up. I'm going to do it myself. That is overcoming their moment of doubt. So that is the fire, right? That is the fire signs. Yeah, it's all in water for this chart, but it's the fire signs. And now we get to the earth signs. Now we get to the trines, O Earth. This will be in fire, right? So what does he desire? How's he going to get it? And, what's that look like for a profession, right? What does that look like for that final outcome, the final boss battle, right? The 10th house, right? This is the earth. This is your career. This is does your values and your day-to-day activities, does your values in the second house and your day-to-day activities in your sixth house line up with your career in your 10th house, line up with the end outcome, the highest top of the peak, right? So for McClane, he wants to save his wife. His wife is in the lion's den. His wife is in this lion's den, with a boss, going, oh, yeah, we're working on Christmas, right? We're having this Christmas party. I know it's Christmas, but still you're coming in, right? You're coming into work we're a business industry, we're capital. We're not even completed this building yet. The building is not even safe, right? So we haven't even finished the security and stuff on it, but we are what we are, because they are that 10th house Aries energy, right? They are, go forward first without asking questions. And so, yeah, his wife is in this lion's den and shown in this lion's den. And you see all the little cubs back at home running around, and everything's all festive and fiery and stuff, right? And so how does he, after the terrorists take over the building, this is, okay, we know he's a cop. We know he wants to win his wife back. And now his wife is in danger. Now his wife is actually in danger. So this will be, how does he go about solving the problem, right? This is his, what tasks does he need to overcome? This is where the bad guys lay the explosives. The bad guys move about the building, like, forming a plan, and he fights one of them and gets the detonators and has to figure out and go, okay, like, what is their plan here? And gets a radio saying, okay, I need to call for help. I need to get backup. I need to, I need to do these things, right? I need to overcome this issue I'm facing. And this is in Sagittarius, right? This is also fire. So how does he go about it? It's all behind the scenes. It's still under the horizon. Like he's not seen yet by the enemy. The enemy doesn't know he's there yet. So he is, collecting information. He's hiding in the elevator, writing down stuff. But it's Sagittarius, so like he doesn't mind if he's a dick about it. He doesn't mind if he's loud about it, if he's boisterous about it. Ho, 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 right? Like, yeah, the bad guys took over and he ended up being the cop. And how's he going to deal with it? Well, it's going to be in the Sagittarius energy of like, ho, 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 right? I am the guy you're going to have to deal with. I am the thorn in your side. I'm the one that's trying to undo your plans. This is my job now. Your plans are my job to undo. And that is all the physical realities that they're putting in place that he's going to have to overcome, right? And so when he overcomes his doubts and fears and he runs to the top of the tower, he gets the hostages he gets the hostages to safety, right? He unfoils the bad guy's plan. Like the bad guys were going, okay, we're going to kill all these hostages, we're going to kill the cops, we're going to escape into confusion, and they're not going to realize we're dead until long after the fact, right? Like now that the hostages are safe, that plan is gone. The hostages are going to know the bad guys weren't up there that died with them, right? Their entire plan fell apart at the top of that building. That's why I'm saying it's the climax of the story. And yeah, Aries, fire, explosions, quick impulsive actions, like, oh, this reminds me of Nam, and he's all shooting at John McClane and stuff, and it's just like shooting at the wrong guy. Like it's just too intense that like you get these Aries energy, 10th house FBI, like we're in charge, we are the best, right? And it ends in this big explosion, and what are you gonna do, right? So yeah, I'm just going through the acts, like by trines. So here's going back. Now we're in the house of air. So communication, balance, and what that leads to. Right? You can think of that. You can think about that. Like communication, how you communicate with each other, how you bring balance to the group, and what that leads to as far as like your connections with other people. So yeah, he goes, okay, this is who I am. This is what I desire. This is how I get it. This is how I communicate. This is how I use my air to get it. This is how I project to get it. This is my ideas to get it. This is like, communication. Communication with other people. How you bring balance to other people, and how they, can affect your bigger outside world. So this is all done cleverly with a car. So he gets in the car because it's in an earth sign. It's in Virgo right here. He gets in a car with, I believe the name is Argyle, right? And Argyle's he was a cab driver, right? So they're both like men of like service to other people, and they're both riding in the front seat. And he's like, "Aren't you supposed to be riding in the back?" It's like, I don't know. This is my first day, right? And he's riding the limo, and the teddy bear's riding in the back, and dude's just talking up a storm because he's got all that Virgo energy, right? What's your problems and how can I fix them? Real communicative because it's still in that third house, where like air moving around. Brotherhood type of communication. What's your problem and how can I fix them? What's your problem and how can I fix them? What's your problem and how can I fix them? I will be your backup plan if your first plan fails. I will be your backup plan if your first plan fails, right? So when you actually get into the seventh house, when you actually get into the next step of that, right? When you actually get into that, Capricorn seventh house, how am I going to bring balance energy, right? To my relationships. Well, his wife is a Capricorn, right? His wife is very Capricorn, like she's the boss lady, right? And that's his wife. That's his other half. So she would be the boss lady, right? He has to bring balance to her, right? He has to bring balance to his other half, and he's got to figure out how to do that, right? Now she's in danger, and the bad guys took over the building, and he's trying to figure out how many of them, and he's got to get the cops involved, right? He's got to get that Capricorn energy involved. He's got to bring that balance. He's got to bring that balance. So he's got to bring the cops in. He's got to bring that balance to the bad guys. So they're just not running the buck, and it's just one against all these people. He's trying to bring balance to this unstable foundation. And so he cleverly throws a body on a car. Throws the body on the Sergeant Powell's car and informs him of his invitation and his welcoming to the party, pal. So they did it cleverly with a car here, saying, "Hey, I'm gonna give you a ride from the airport to the building. I'll be your backup plan if you need it." And then, in order for John McClane to bring balance, he throws a body onto a car. Boom. There was a body onto a car. Now, what do these have to do with the 11th house? Well, after all the hostages get saved, right? The bad guys are running away. The bad guys are fleeing the scene. They're trying to get away. And John McClane goes like you cut away from him, and it goes to Argyle, the backup plan guy, right? With his car, rams into the money guys, right? Rams into the guys with all the money. And the van, it doesn't escape, right? The bad guys do not get away with all the tourists, money, right? So it took the connections that the actual, the cars and the connections, the communication with other people, and his balance, because he showed Argyle they had good balance, they had good communication, right? That they were like brothers, right? So his brother came to, he was his backup plan. You know what I'm saying? He was still there for him. They had good communication, and he came around, all the way over here, right? He stuck around. He was still there. He was still there as a backup plan because how he was treated, right? He wanted to help. He offered to help, and John McClane's like, "Yeah, man, that sounds great. I would love some assistance here because I am fish out of water. I got some stuff I got to deal with. I know I'm going to kind of suck at bringing balance to my wife. What are some terrorists going to take over and give me the perfect opportunity to save her? I doubt it. Yeah, so you probably want to stick around because I probably need a ride." So yeah, they cleverly just used a car for all three acts. Now we're getting into the water signs. So this would be the turn of the story. This would be the he enters the place of unknown, the actual conflict. Because these are all self-confirming. This is okay, here's who I am. This is what I want. This is how I think I'm going to get it, right? But then there's got to be a conflict before you enter the second act. There's got to be something this is something minor that okay, this is what's going to prevent him from getting what he wants. Now, the universe is going to provide him, something that he was meant for in order to overcome it in the second act, but he's going to start out with the actual problem, right? And the actual problem is he needs to protect his wife in this place of that he can't bring this fourth house that he can't bring balance to. He shows up and there's a guy's doing drugs, right? He walks into the office building, this unknown place, and there's all these guys running around, and there's some guy doing drugs in her office, on her desk, taking liberties with her space, right? That is he is out of balance, and his wife doesn't have his last name on her door, leaving it open for I'm single and available, right? So his reaction is not necessarily out of bounds, but she is the boss woman, right? She is a Capricorn. She's serious. She doesn't want to, he is too emotional for her. She's in charge of all these little Aries morons, right? She is the Capricorn. She is the authority figure. She can pretty much have these guys wrapped around her finger. She doesn't not even worried about it. She's telling him to calm down, right? So they don't have good balance. They just don't have good balance in their relationship. And before the conflict started, it showed that this was this was going to be the thing that he had to overcome. He had to offer some way to bring balance to her situation. And the only way he could do that was by killing a bunch of bad guys. That was the only thing he really brought to the table. It wasn't ideal, but it worked. It worked for that day anyways. So we're going up here to... So McClane just dropped the dead bad guy out of the car, right? We had that act. And then the cops go, okay, we as a group are going to storm the building. We as a group are going to storm the building and stop these bad guys, right? We as a group are going to storm this building and stop these bad guys. And John McClane is going like, it's not going to work. I know the numbers. I can see the future. I'm in this Aquarius energy. Like I can see everything that you can't see. Don't tell me what I know. Like you're not seeing it right. Like the radical energy is the Aquarius energy, right? And so like he's going to be proven right and pretty dramatic ways. The cops are all going to get shot up, right? But Aquarius is also the energy of lightning, dramatic events, sudden events, right? Boom. He drops that bomb down the elevator, right? Boom. Kills like, I think he got 3 in that shot, right? I think he got 3 in that shot, like, or whatever it was, right? And like, yeah. This was before, his moment of doubt. This was still when he was winning. This was still when he was on top, right? This was still the second act. Third act, like he loses at the start of the third act. He loses the detonators. He gets his feet all cut up. He loses. But the second act, he is still proven right. He's still proven that he was meant to be here. But this death and rebirth, or like this transformation energy, right? A whole bunch of people died and they were looking like they were going to, die, and like everything was, all hope was lost. And then death and rebirth, right? Now they got a second chance. Now like the power dynamic changed like that. That is the 8th house, death and rebirth of like, he is powerful, right? But now the enemy's got to come back and like react, go, we're going to hit them back hard and question, like they're going to doubt who they are, doubt their beliefs, doubt everything they are, because we know we got an understanding of them now. We're going to hit them hard, and they do. They get the detonators back. They shoot up all the glass, right? So we go over here. We were just here in the 8th house. Now we're going to the 12th house. This is the ending. This is so like Argyle crashed the car, stopped the bad guys from escaping. Yeah, like the climax here happened. The bad guys' friends were trying to get away with the money and they got stopped. So like John's friends stopped the bad guys' friends. It's this, group effort type energy. And now we're at the end. This is the 12th house is the hidden house. Like the things that you don't see are the things that are going to kill you, right? Like the, diseases and the mental illness and the just the hidden stuff, right? So it's like, the unknown, death and rebirth, right? It's connected to the 12th house and the fourth house, right? So he had to bring balance to this 4th house. And it took, him, a whole bunch of guys dying outside and him blowing up a big chunk of the building in order to like bring that balance, right? I mean, at this point they actually brought balance, and the enemy was like, well, we got to go fuck up him now because he just fucked up our balance, right? And now the 12th house is, he gets back up and just chases him down because he knows he's got him at that point. They're attacking him personally because they're playing, he's a threat, right? So now we're in the 12th house and he's going, yippee dee dah, my friend in days, and shoots the guy, right? Because he had that hidden, that hidden thing was the death of, surprise, right? Boom, gotcha, right? But I mean, that wasn't the end. I mean, that wasn't the end of it. Like the very end, that was the death. So where's the rebirth, right? Where's the resurrection? Well, the guy that he hung, the guy that he hung back here, like popped back up, right? And Sergeant Powell had to shoot him, and get his character arc, redeem his journey, or complete his hero's journey, right? And so that death and rebirth, we got the death of the bad guy and the rebirth of one of his villains, and then dead again or whatever, right? But like the end, right? So like astrology, like people go, okay, you are not your, we don't believe in it because you can't tell the difference between a Capricorn and a Leo. It's like, well, no, I can't. Like, there's a whole bunch of different stuff in the sky, and they're all at different angles to each other, and they all influence each other. But it is the foundation of the hero's journey. It is how we built the 3-act play. It is our storytelling. It's our history. So you can call it fake, but it's like calling a movie fake. It just is what it is.